Family Guy's dirty jokes have been sending viewers running for years, sometimes to the bathroom from laughing too hard.
Peter, you just pooped all over the bed.
When you poop in your dreams.
Other times, straight out the door in shock. Seth MacFarlane's animated circus has turned pushing boundaries into a professional sport, serving up gags so filthy they make network executives reach for the panic button. From eyebrow-raising innuendos to moments that feel like they slipped out of a late-night adult channel.
All right, ladies, you ready for action?
We sure are, Glenn. Do you have the whip?
Got it right here. Wait, what?
Today, we're breaking down the dirtiest Family Guy moments that had audiences gasping, groaning, and in some cases, deciding they'd seen enough. The Cleveland Loretta Quagmire, Season 4, Episode 5. Nothing says medical malpractice lawsuit waiting to happen, quite like Dr. Hartman outsourcing terminal diagnosis delivery to Peter Griffin's barbershop quintet.
Tell you this, Mr. Devaney, so I'll let these guys do it.
You have AIDS.
Yes, you have AIDS.
I hate to tell you, boy, that you have AIDS.
You got the AIDS.
You may have caught it when you stuck that filthy needle in here.
When faced with the uncomfortable task of telling a patient he has AIDS, Hartman does what any logical medical professional would do. He calls in the musical cavalry. The group launches into a peppy tune about the patient's condition, with all the enthusiasm of a high school pep rally, except instead of cheering for the football team, they're harmonizing about sexually transmitted diseases. The quintet doesn't just break the news, they provide a detailed musical breakdown of how the patient probably contracted it, complete with jazz hands and synchronized choreography. It's like getting your death sentence delivered by the cast of Glee if Glee was written by people who clearly needed more hugs as children. The singers maintain perfect pitch while destroying this poor guy's life, turning what should be a private medical consultation into a Broadway production nobody asked for. The scene perfectly captures Family Guy's approach to sensitive subjects. Take something that should be handled with care and dignity, then throw it in a blender with show tunes and see what happens. The medical community probably started requiring background checks for hospital entertainment after this aired, and honestly, they should have been doing that already. Brian and Stewie, Season 8, Episode 17. Family Guy decided to lock its most intellectual characters in a room together and see how long it would take before things got absolutely disgusting. The Bank Vault episode starts as a genuine exploration of Brian and Stewie's friendship, diving deep into philosophical conversations about life, death, and their complicated relationship.
Problem now, does it?
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't, though, really. See, you're not you're not really thinking this through. We would still be faced with the problem of the odor.
It's almost like watching a real show with actual character development, which should have been the first warning sign that something horrible was coming. When Stewie develops a diaper rash that could probably be seen from space, Brian faces the ultimate test of friendship. The solution involves the dog reverting to his most basic canine instincts in ways that make viewers question why they own pets.
Got some dessert for you.
You gotta be kidding me.
Come on, it's throw up. You like throw up.
I do like throw up.
The scene happens off-screen, but the sound effects are so vivid, they might as well have hired a Foley artist who previously worked on horror movies. What makes it infinitely worse is how casually the show presents this as a reasonable solution to a practical problem. There's no dramatic buildup or shocked reactions. It's treated like helping a friend move furniture, except the furniture is human waste and the moving involves consumption. The episode tries to balance genuine emotional moments with content that belongs in a medical waste disposal manual, creating the kind of cognitive dissonance that requires professional help to process. The fact that this happens in what critics consider one of the series' best episodes makes it feel like a betrayal of trust. It's like going to see Shakespeare and discovering halfway through that Hamlet has been replaced by a guy eating garbage for 2 hours. Quagmire's Baby, Season 8, Episode 6. Watching Quagmire attempt fatherhood is like watching a recovering alcoholic try to bartend. Technically possible, but probably not the best idea for anyone involved. The episode starts with genuine promise as the neighborhood's resident creep suddenly finds himself responsible for an actual human being. He names the baby Anna Lee because subtlety left Family Guy sometime during the Clinton administration.
Have you given her a name yet?
Yeah, I named her Anna Lee, but I'm probably just gonna call her Annal for short. That's funny. Thank you.
But for once, the innuendo feels almost innocent compared to what's coming. The adoption storyline actually provides some character development that doesn't involve bodily functions or property damage.
So, it's just not working out me being a father, and that's why I'm wondering if you and Lois would be willing to adopt the baby.
Quagmire recognizes that his lifestyle of questionable encounters and poor decision-making isn't exactly compatible with child rearing. For 30 seconds, viewers might actually respect Glenn Quagmire, which feels like a violation of natural law. Then he destroys any goodwill with a comment about potentially reconnecting with his daughter in 18 years and not for father-daughter bowling leagues. The joke lands with all the grace of a cement truck falling off a cliff, taking any character growth with it. It's the kind of comment that makes viewers look around their living room to make sure their neighbors didn't hear them accidentally laugh at something that would get them investigated by federal authorities. The timing makes it exponentially worse just when the character seemed to be evolving beyond his one-dimensional pervert persona. He crashes back down to earth with a comment so inappropriate it retroactively ruins the entire episode. It's like watching someone climb out of a hole just to jump back in with dynamite strapped to their chest. The Splendid Source, Season 8, Episode 19. In this episode, Family Guy takes what could have been a harmless joke hunting adventure and steers it straight into the gutter at 90 miles an hour. The premise starts simple. Peter hears the dirtiest joke of his life and becomes obsessed with tracking down its origin. What follows is a cross-country quest that feels like a hybrid between National Treasure and a stag party gone horribly wrong. Each stop along the way gets more absurd and more inappropriate. The trail leads them from bowling alleys to questionable bars to a literal floating fortress where the world's most brilliant minds, Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett, are revealed as the keepers of humanity's filthiest punchlines. These intellectual giants aren't solving world hunger or curing diseases. They're sitting around crafting jokes that could get you banned from a family barbecue for life.
The octopuses.
Well, it's a pretty funny joke, when you think about it. Your vagina's in the sink.
Damn it!
The pièce de résistance? The legendary joke itself is so outrageously filthy that when Peter hears it, he laughs so hard, he loses control of, well, everything below the waist.
When you poop in your dreams, you poop for real.
And the show doesn't exactly leave that to the imagination. The scene hits peak Family Guy. Juvenile humor mixed with shock value, all wrapped in a premise that pretends to be clever while winking at how low it's willing to go. What makes it even dirtier is the implication. Somewhere out there, in a secret comedy Illuminati, the richest and smartest people on Earth are spending their time making sure humanity never runs out of truly disgusting material. And honestly, it's not the worst theory. Patriot Games, Season 6, Episode 7. Family Guy looked at one of the most horrific kidnapping cases in recent memory and thought, you know what this needs? A punchline about sexual assault. The Elizabeth Smart reference represents the show at its absolute worst, taking a real person's genuine trauma and turning it into disposable comedy material. The scene shows the kidnapping survivor playing harp, while her father casually mentions that her songs are mostly about rape.
Brought music back into the house, playing songs on the harp. Of course, most of them are about rape, but it's still nice.
Because apparently real-life suffering is just another setup for a throwaway gag. The joke hits like a brick through a church window during Sunday service. Shocking, inappropriate, and leaving everyone wondering who raised the people responsible for this content. Elizabeth Smart endured 9 months of captivity as a 14-year-old, and her rescue was a moment of genuine relief for the entire nation. Family Guy saw this story of survival and resilience, and decided it needed to become a punchline about sexual violence, which is roughly equivalent to making Holocaust jokes at a bar mitzvah.
Oh my God, I've made a terrible mistake. I've been brainwashed like Elizabeth Smart.
Making light of actual trauma experienced by a real person crosses every conceivable line of human decency. It's one thing to mock fictional characters or celebrities who signed up for public ridicule, but targeting a kidnapping victim for comedy material ventures into territory that would make actual sociopaths uncomfortable. The casual delivery makes it infinitely worse. It's presented as just another throwaway gag in a show full of them, treating genuine human suffering like disposable entertainment. The fact that the victim was a minor when the kidnapping occurred adds another layer of wrongness to an already inexcusable joke. The show essentially took a child's worst nightmare and turned it into content for adults to laugh at, which crosses boundaries that shouldn't exist in civilized society. Halloween on Spooner Street, Season 9, Episode 4. Halloween brings out everyone's worst impulses, but Chris and Meg Griffin manage to find impulses that most people don't even know exist. The episode starts with both Griffin children heading to a party with the desperate hope of finding romantic connection, which in the Griffin family means lowering standards to subterranean levels. Their perpetual status as social outcasts makes their desperation almost sympathetic, until they find a solution that requires immediate therapy for everyone involved. During 7 Minutes in Heaven,
Come on, you guys. It's been well over 7 minutes.
the siblings end up making out in a closet without realizing they're related.
What are you doing here?
Trying to grab some poo!
From your sister!
Which sounds like the setup for a very different kind of movie that gets sold in unmarked brown bags. The horror of discovering they've been intimate with their own family member should have triggered immediate psychological evaluation and possibly witness protection relocation. Instead, they decide to focus on the silver lining of their incestuous encounter like they're discussing the benefits of a timeshare presentation.
It's good to finally be off duty.
Wow, I never knew about this place, Quagmire.
By the episode's end, they're practically celebrating their accidental hookup, treating family intimacy like a participation trophy in the world's worst competition. Their casual acceptance makes it infinitely more disturbing than the initial mistake. Most people would need years of therapy after accidentally kissing a sibling, but Chris and Meg treat it like a learning experience at summer camp. The episode also features Peter and Joe engaging in escalating pranks with Quagmire, culminating in a near-fatal flight in a Japanese fighter plane complete with racial humor that feels like it was written by people who think diversity means having more than one type of beer at a party. It's like the writers decided one completely inappropriate storyline wasn't enough and threw in some casual racism as a bonus feature. The Peter Principle, Season 15, Episode 18. When Sesame Street moved to HBO, Family Guy saw an opportunity to corrupt childhood innocence faster than a sugar rush at a diabetes convention. The show's take on premium cable children's programming features Cookie Monster. Discovering that when cookies aren't available, Big Bird's rear end makes an acceptable substitute. The scene plays out with all the enthusiasm and musical accompaniment
Name is Peter.
Check.
That ain't no lie.
of a regular Sesame Street segment, creating the kind of cognitive dissonance that breaks adult brains and probably violates several international treaties. The visual requires immediate eye bleach, but the matter-of-fact presentation makes it exponentially worse. Cookie Monster applies his characteristic enthusiasm for consumption to his feathered friend's anatomy with the same energy he'd use for actual cookies. It's like watching someone take everything pure about childhood education and feed it through a blender operated by people who clearly weren't hugged enough as children. The joke manages to ruin both current viewing experiences and treasured childhood memories in one efficient blow. Cookie Monster will never look the same to anyone who witnessed this animated atrocity, and Big Bird becomes forever associated with activities that would horrify preschoolers and their parents. The show takes characters designed to teach children about sharing, learning, and friendship, and turns them into participants in activities that belong in therapy sessions, not children's television. The timing makes it particularly cruel. HBO's acquisition of Sesame Street was meant to ensure the show's educational mission could continue. Family Guy looked at this wholesome development and immediately figured out how to make it as inappropriate as possible, proving that no childhood memory is safe from their twisted creativity. Killer Queen, Season 10, Episode 16. Chris enters a hot dog eating contest, but the real story is Peter discovering that Chris might be endowed in ways that make him jealous. Peter becomes so obsessed with his son's anatomy that he starts comparing it to his own.
I get these weird cyst things right on the fringe of my sack. I want to get them checked, but I'm afraid of what they're going to tell me.
Leading to some truly cringeworthy, but undeniably funny moments that make you thankful your dad isn't Peter Griffin. Steroids, Season 7, Episode 13. After Stewie gets jacked on steroids, he becomes the object of infatuation for Connie D'Amico, who's suddenly into babies with biceps.
Oh, look, it's Black Barbie. Why are you all alone?
Watching a swooning high schooler flirt with a roided-out toddler is equal parts hilarious and horrifying. Like a gym ad gone terribly wrong. And Stewie, of course, eats up the attention in the most disturbingly smug way possible. Quagmire's Mom, Season 13, Episode 10. Quagmire reveals the origin of his, let's say, active lifestyle. His mom. Let's just say she's as much of an overshare as her son, and her courtroom testimony about her escapades is something you'll wish you could unhear.
I, with God's guidance, can rehabilitate him.
The apple clearly doesn't fall far from the tree, and by the end, you'll understand why Quagmire is the way he is, but you'll wish you didn't. Peter Asment, Season 8, Episode 14. Peter gets sexually harassed by his boss, Angela, and somehow that's not even the most uncomfortable part. The real kicker is Peter leaning into it by becoming seductive. If you can call that horrifying display seductive. Watching Peter try to sexually manipulate anyone is comedy gold, but also a reminder that no one should ever have to see Peter Griffin wearing lingerie. Barely Legal, Season 5, Episode 8. Meg becomes obsessed with Brian after he takes her to prom out of pity, leading to one of the most uncomfortable stalking plots in the show's history. From Meg breaking into his room to Brian being chained up in her love dungeon.
I love you too, Brian. And you love me.
Yes, really. The episode is a hilarious yet deeply unsettling look at just how far Meg will go for attention. Spoiler, it's way too far. Outro. Family Guy proves that animation can go places live action wouldn't dare, creating shared cultural trauma disguised as entertainment. These moments bond viewers through mutual discomfort while testing the limits of what counts as comedy versus requiring professional intervention.